What's going on, Eagle fans? Welcome back to another episode of Philadelphia Eagles Talk with Geoff. And shortly, hopefully anytime now, Matt will be joining us again as we preview the Eagles-Falcons game coming up here on Monday night. Thank you all for those who have subscribed. Definitely want to bump that subscription number up. So make sure you like and subscribe when you get a chance. Thanks for tuning in as always. And I'm still broadcasting, by the way, to the formerly just the audio portion of the podcast is still on Spotify, still on audible.com, still on Apple, iHeartRadio, and the rest. So you continue to be able to hear me via audio with those platforms. But welcoming in the brand new YouTube audience. And like I said, Matt should be joining hopefully the program. He's on his way back. He'll be joining us from the car, I'm assuming. All right, so big game coming up. Eagles obviously 1-0 heading into this game, relatively healthy. So they're pretty much at full strength. You got to be concerned, by the way, about Tua. Speaking of like injuries, what happened to him last night. I mean, this guy just can't catch a break. I mean, it doesn't help the fact that, even having had two concussions already in his young career, that he's still not sliding. I mean, that was definitely a preventable injury that he had last night. But he decided to go, head first into the tackle. And ironically, it was Hamlin, the guy you remember who collapsed on the field a couple years ago, who made the tackle. So interesting, very interesting how that worked. So anyway, welcome back to Philadelphia Eagles Talk with Geoff. This is a podcast that we hope to continue to grow. I'll continue to have guests on here as we move along. And Matt is ready to be queued in here. So let's bring Matt on to the program. Matt, welcome back to the program. Appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us once again. Matt, can you hear me okay? I don't know. I'm not hearing you, Matt. Keep trying to troubleshoot whatever you're trying to troubleshoot there. So Matt's attempting to join the show. So hopefully he's going to be able to get that worked out. In the meantime, we'll continue on. So talking about the upcoming Falcons, and Matt, you with us?
Yeah, I'm not sure why you can't hear me, though. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now. Fine, yeah. Yep. Gotcha.
You can hear me now? Okay.
I can. Yep.
Right. Maybe it was the sunglasses. Let's see if I'm still there.
You're still there. I wasn't hearing you at all.
Alrighty.
You kind of came on and froze, and I wasn't hearing much of anything. But anyway, we got you now. So just in the middle of previewing, just starting to talk about the upcoming Falcons game. And so do you have any initial early thoughts on the Falcons? Again, we lost the audio, Matt, so not sure what's going on there.
The Eagles.
There we go. Now I hear you.
Always play Kirk Cousins. Yeah, I should be getting into a better signal here just over the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, the audio's cutting out. Yeah, we're losing you, Matt. You're barely coming in, and we're losing your audio. So we'll wait till we have you back in full strength, and then we'll bring you back. Okay. We'll bring you back in. How you doing now over there?
I can hear you, and I'm getting closer to cell towers, I think. So.
All right, now we got you.
Can you hear me?
So go ahead and repeat what you started to say.
Okay, we should be pretty good from here on out. But like we talked a little bit last time we talked, Kirk Cousins seems to have his worst days against the Eagles, right? So we'll see how week 2 goes for this Philadelphia defense. We'll talk a little bit about performances, right? I assume this episode there's a couple guys I thought stood out last week that need to be talked about. And
yeah,
if they show up and we get a little bit more help here and there, the Falcons, I don't think they're all
Yeah, we lost you again there, Matt.
firing on all their cylinders.
All right. Yeah, you cut out
Go
there
ahead.
again. Well, I just want to say I did have a podcast recapping the Packers game, but if you had any thoughts that you wanted to just put in about the Packers, go ahead. Go ahead.
You know what? I gotta get a big antenna and like run some.
Yeah, because we're not picking you up 100%. That's for sure.
Zach Ball. Okay.
Go ahead.
Give me 30 more seconds then. I don't know what the deal is, but I must not be near any cell towers, but I'm almost to the highway.
Now we got you back again. So I was saying that I already did a podcast post game of the Packers game, but if you wanted to chime in with a couple thoughts, I think you mentioned Vaughn.
Vaughn.
Go ahead.
Vaughn and Dean, the linebacker spot, looked really solid. Dean didn't look like he was overmatched. Looks like he could get around blocks, but he looked like he could read plays and get there fast, which is what he needs to do as a slightly undersized linebacker. But Zach Bond was all over the place.
15 tackles.
Yeah, and Vic Fangio looks like he's got an excellent plan in place for Zach Bond. So, yeah. Quarterbacks played well enough. The defense, needs a little bit more pass rush. Mike Huff was silent. Josh Sweat,
total silent. Yeah.
Yep.
I think the field might have. I mean, this is the optimistic, kind of glass half full view. Is that field was so damn slippery that those edge guys probably had trouble getting off the edge. So I might give them a little bit of a pass, but we got to see. We got to see the pass rush from our edges. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Jalen Carter got plenty of pressures, played well. I'm not sure Jordan Davis had as much of an impact, but, for a tough Packers team, they hung in there with a very, very good Packers quarterback in Jordan Love.
Yep.
And a good running game. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Defense, and that's what it was. I think all Eagles fans would agree that Hurts has got to eliminate those silly, stupid mistakes, right? Can't have that. He's expected to be beyond that, even if it's the beginning of the season because of how many years he's had. But he is also on a new offense. So we want to see Jalen continue to remove those errors, the unforced errors out of his game. Just throw the ball away. Chuck it out of bounds. Yeah. Move on to the next play. We gave up points there on at least one series where we could have had at least a field goal. Against the matchup with the Falcons, though, similar team to the Packers, I would say. They got a good quarterback. There's the tight end they have to worry about. And the running game, right? So
yeah, Pitts is good. Cousins, we'll see what he's got. He's still kind of, I don't think a lot of people are reporting that in game one he wasn't, didn't look fully healthy back. He's coming back from a pretty serious injury last year, so we might be catching him at the right time where he's not completely, up to speed and up to health, and plus he's learning a brand new offense, a brand new team, so he might be catching him at the right time. So Cousins, I think. He's got believe it or not, he still has a winning record against the Eagles. I think he's like 6-5 in his career versus the Eagles. Now, the last couple games, the Eagles have beat him pretty handily.
I think, maybe he stole some wins as a Commander or a Redskin. I think he probably, when they were splitting their games back in the day, but I think the Eagles they've had really good success when he was a Viking. Even though the Vikings had some really good teams, Eagles seem to just play well against them.
Yep, I agree. But the Falcons, they also pretty much play pretty well against the Falcons as well. So, but the Falcons are a good young team, good running back. Bijan Robinson's going to be tough. Got to make sure you contain him. They got good wide receiver there, the guy out of USC, London. Yep. Yeah, Pitts is obviously starting to make it. One of these years, Pitts is going to have a breakout season. Just don't want to have a breakout game this weekend. But I think hopefully we start seeing a little bit more of Dijon. He didn't play a lot in the first game, but I think they're going to obviously miss most of the preseason. So, I think you'll see him slowly more incorporated into this defense. You got to like what you saw from Mitchell, by the way.
I think he was talking smack the whole game, by the way. It looked like every play, whether he had anything to do with it or not, he's just constantly in the receiver's ear.
And here's the guy, like when he was drafted, he just looked like the quietest guy. He came on
Quiet.
stage, hardly had any reaction. He almost looked like a robotic. And now he's definitely, yeah, he was like taunting. I don't know about taunting, but he was definitely talking to, there was one play on the sideline and he was like going at it with the entire Green Bay bench.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you kind of like to see that, you know, and you have to have confidence. I've always said this about the cornerback position because it's such a tough position. You know, you're on several plays, you're doing your job, guys covered, and all it takes is one play when you get beat, and you know the onus is on you. But you have to have two real key things as a cornerback, in my opinion. You have to have a short memory. You got to get right back and add it the next play, and you have to have confidence in yourself. And so far, I always said about Deion Sanders. I couldn't stand the guy who was a Cowboy, but to me, he's one of the greatest corners of all time because
100%.
he talked the talk and walked the walk. And I have no problem with that. If you're going to talk, back it up. And Deion always backed it up. And if this, I'm not saying this guy's going to be Deion Sanders, but my point is, it's great to see the confidence, especially in a rookie, you know, and he played well. He played pretty well in the game.
Yep. Yeah, I was impressed with him, and I don't know what it is with the Packers and Reed Blankenship, but it seems like that same first interception he ever had in his career against Aaron Rodgers was the exact same play that he picked off on this one.
Yeah, similar.
And it turned the whole game around, right? So the Eagles are kind of playing stagnant at that point. We're wondering what's going to happen, and that was just interesting to see Reed come up, make a big play. He's a smart player, right? He may not be the fastest safety, but he's a smart guy and he's a sure tackler.
And he catches it. Like he rarely like doesn't make the pick. You know, he's got good hands. Unlike Nakobe Dean. So maybe he can, you know, teach Nakobe Dean a few things because Nakobe Dean had the easiest pick six walk-in touchdown if he could have just grabbed that one out in the flat that he read. He read it fine.
Yeah, he did.
You got to finish the play, man.
Yep.
But so all right, let's just trying to think what the keys to the game. Oh, by the way, this is something else I definitely before you got to go because you may not be able to stick with us the whole program. Although I'm not going to go too long. Nick Foles, I don't know if you heard this, is going to be retire an Eagle and have a big commencement at halftime. And I don't know if they're going to retire his jersey, but it's basically Nick Foles Day at halftime at the Link on Monday night.
Yeah, that is awesome. I'm surprised we actually don't have tickets for that game because we usually somehow end up getting those types of tickets.
Yeah.
But he'll get a great reception. I mean, it's amazing. It's still like you could do a whole show about Nick Foles and how amazing he was as an Eagle and how subpar he was for everywhere else he ever played. It's amazing to me. He's got the 27-2 touchdowns to 2 interception season under Chip Kelly. He's got the 7 touchdown game against the Raiders,
which he only played 3 quarters in.
Right, and then he wins. Yeah, because he didn't even play the fourth quarter.
He didn't play the fourth quarter next.
Yeah, and they have Super Bowl winning quarterback. Struggled actually against the Falcons in that first playoff game, but got the win, and then just freaking pummeled the Vikings, pummeled the Patriots. Just amazing experience for Nick Foles in Philadelphia. He loves the town, loves the city, loves the people. He's going to have an amazing reception and well-deserved Monday night. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, that's definitely a game. You're right. We have had those games where we just get tickets beginning of the season. It happens to be, it's so-and-so's special night or so-and-so's retirement or someone's coming back just for the game.
Now, the funny thing is, though, we're also the worst bad luck. We've been at those games, and we've watched the Eagles get pummeled. So maybe it's
Monday night Reggie White game. I'll never forget that one. 44-0 against Seattle or something like that. Or they got killed by Seattle that game.
Yeah, Seattle. No, you're right. We had Mike McMahon at quarterback.
Reggie White's, I mean, the greatest all-time Eagle, one of the greatest players of all time. We were there at his retirement game at halftime, and the Eagles got blown out. I don't even know if they scored. I think they got shut out.
I don't remember them scoring. I think maybe Mike McMahon scrambled for a touchdown late, and got a touchdown there, but that was a beating.
Yeah.
Start to finish. So it's a good thing for Eagles Nations that we are not actually at this game for Nick Foles. They'll probably win.
Yeah, that's true. So, and everything, all the accolades and praise that come to Foles' way, he deserves it all. Class act guy. Obviously brought us the only championship. I shouldn't say only championship. We got all the championships, but the first Super Bowl to Philadelphia, and he did it against the Tom Brady in a shootout. We'll never forget it. We'll never forget the and he, the thing is about the whole Philly special play, he's the one who made that call. He's the one that put the bug in the ear. Yes, Peterson said, okay, let's do it. But whose idea was it? It was Nick Foles' idea on 4th and 1, trailing in the Super Bowl right before the half, to call that play, to have the balls. That's why they call him Big Dick Nick. He had the balls to call that, to put that bug in Peterson's ear, to call that play, and then they executed it perfectly.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I'm glad he's getting his flowers. I'm glad he's getting his moment to a reflection. And Eagle fans, I'm sure, are going to be absolutely beside themselves when he comes out at halftime. So, any other thoughts on Foles before we move on?
No, I just think you can't be happier for a guy, right? So he's Philadelphia, and he's from the West Coast, but he's actually Philly through and through, right? He's a typical Philadelphian. He appreciates all of that enthusiasm, just as much as all of the other greats.
Yeah.
And it's just he's such a unique character in the football world and the history, because it's like everywhere else he played, he couldn't really play.
He was terrible.
Well. Yeah.
He was terrible with the Rams, terrible in Jacksonville, terrible in Kansas City.
You have him suit up in Philly though, and he's like, I got it.
Yeah. It is a quite an interesting career to look back on. And he's in the Hall before he even won the Super Bowl. He was in the Hall of Fame, like you mentioned, with a 7-touchdown game. Yeah. He had that great year as an Eagle. I think it was his second season when he had 27 touchdowns, only a couple picks. He's had some really interesting career, because again, the Eagles have, got rid of him once, and he went to other places, and they paid him a lot of money to be their starter, and he did nothing. It was terrible. Yep. And the Eagles bring him back, and they still paid him a decent amount for a backup quarterback. And the way that it worked out with Wentz going down, thank God they had Foles there.
Yeah.
Because, and I don't think any of us, I knew, going back, and I think you were, pretty much the same page with me. I was confident that it wouldn't be. It sucked losing Wentz that season. He was having an MVP year, but I had this confidence that we're going to be all right. I didn't know we'd make the run and win the Super Bowl, but I knew we'd be okay. In fact, I got debates with remember Sebastian. I'm friends with him on Facebook. He used to be those of the audience not going to know who he is, but he was a big time Connecticut radio personality. And I friended him on Facebook, and he was telling me, "Oh, Eagles are done. Nick Foles, he's nothing, garbage. They're totally done." I'm like, dude. I said, "No, they're not." I said, Nick Foles can get it done. Again, I was just talking about him at least being able to play well in the playoffs. I didn't know he'd be as amazing as he was, but people were just, if Eagles season's over with, they lost Wentz, and I'm like, nope. I said, you haven't watched Foles, and
No.
And Foles was struggling, like you mentioned. He struggled going into the playoffs. Remember, he played the last couple of regular season games. Didn't look all that great.
Yeah, but the game against the Raiders where he looked pretty awful, but the defense kept him in it. And then I remember thinking exactly what Dick Vermeil said when Trent Green got injured and Kurt Warner came in that season, much earlier in the season for the Rams. But I remember Dick Vermeil saying, Trent Green is down. Kurt, sorry, no, you're thinking of you're way off.
Oh,
you're
on
the Commanders, right? You're thinking of the.
Yeah, didn't he run his head into the wall?
I'm talking about Trent Green.
Concussed himself.
Yeah, I'm talking about Trent Green with the Rams when he got injured and Kurt Warner was unknown. And Dick Vermeil has a press conference and he says, Trent Green is down, Kurt Warner's our quarterback, and we will play good football. Yeah. And I was like, I think I posted almost the exact same thing about Foles. Foles is in, Wentz is gone. They will play good football. That's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
So what do you want to talk about for keys to the game then? For
keys to the game. You want me to go first? Keys to the game? I think we need that pass rush. We talked about it earlier. We alluded to the edges. We need Sweat and we need Huff to make their presence known in this game. No excuses with the field being slippery. This is the game where those edge guys got to get to Cousins, make him feel uncomfortable. We know how Cousins is when he gets rattled. That's when he throws the picks. If Cousins gets into a rhythm, he's good. I mean, Cousins is a good quarterback. He's better than average. But I think the Eagles need to hit him hard, hit him early. Let him know that this is not going to be a fun evening for him, being Monday night. I think the crowd will be jacked. I mean, the fact that they're doing the Foles thing is just going to add, I think, to the atmosphere. The Eagles did get an opening, day win. So, I think the crowd will be fired up. They'll have all day to drink on Monday. So you can have a rapid Eagles fan base for that game. And, I want to continue to see improvement by the secondary. They were gutted in a couple. I mean, Reed, they had no answer for, so that's a little concerning. Reed just, whether he was running the ball on an option or, receiving wise, they had no answers to shut Reed down. So that's a little concerning. So I want to see some better coverage there in the secondary. Want to see Bond continue to do what he was doing. I want to see Nakobe Dean continue to, play well.
He was active. I liked watching Dean. The smack on the running back.
Yeah, he popped it.
Left pass there.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, that was good. That timing was perfect. A half second earlier now, he would have been called for a penalty. Yep. But no, timing was great. I definitely want to see more of a pass rush. So that's going to be my first key to the game. The pass rush, especially the ends. Jalen Carter, we didn't see him get through for any, real penetration. I'm not saying he had a bad game. He played pretty good. But I want to see Carter get in there. I just want to see more of a pass rush without having to blitz. That's my first key to the game. What's yours?
Well, so I think that's one key. I think when you talk about offenses versus defenses, I believe our offense overmatches their defense. So I think the weakness with the Falcons right now is their D. Can they stop A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Saquon Barkley and Goddard?
I don't think there's going to be many teams that can.
I don't think so. This will be a running theme for most of the season, but I don't think the Falcons are where the Packers are defensively. And so some of that is defense, but Jalen Hurts, very important that you don't make stupid errors to just keep the Falcons in the game when you should be burying them, right? So throw the ball away, give up the plays that aren't there, and because he's proven time and time again when the plays are there, he can make them happen. He can throw the ball on a dime. He can lead A.J. Brown, Devontae, all of these guys. And so just do that. Just play mistake-free offense, and we will crush them, is my opinion on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Hurts has to play smarter with the ball. I mean, he's now, his fifth year in, whatever it is. He's now a veteran quarterback. He can't be making those type of throws like he did with A.J. Brown. Now, what's interesting is I saw the tape, and there was certainly a moment when A.J. Brown was wide open in the end zone.
He was.
But when you know you're going against the grain and you got to throw the ball all the way across your body, first of all, he doesn't have the strongest arm in the world. It's not like it's McNabb or Michael Vick throwing that laser. They could probably make that play. He doesn't have the strongest arm. Thrown across your body, that ball's going to be up in the air too long, even though he's wide open. And a guy like Alexander, one of the best corners in the league, is going to read that and be like, thank you. And that's exactly what happened.
I almost feel like on that play, AJ, as soon as he put his hand up, was like, shit, shouldn't have done that. I
think that's why he stumbled. Like, shit, I got to get to that ball. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you see him stumble quickly. Meanwhile, Alexander, you see, as soon as he throws it, just peel off his guy, almost like suckered him into the throw. Yeah. And he made the easy pick. So he's just got to be – it's just awareness and it's experience. He's got to learn from those that, hey, yeah, he looks open, but, if you don't have the arm to get there, just throw it away. Don't be throwing it up. I mean, he could have gave the game away. I mean, that really could have been, as close as that game was, that could have been a much more pivotal play than it already was. Just take the field goal, get some points. No need to get, play Superman. And so I think he needs to buckle down on those. Hopefully the center and exchange situation gets fixed because there was two major issues there. Yeah. One, the tush push fumble, which thankfully Barkley was there to save it. and then just on a snap earlier in the game when it wasn't Hurts' fault, but he had no idea.
No, you're surprised on that one.
He had no idea. It reminded me of the Peyton Manning.
And they got
remember the first snap of the Peyton Manning versus in Denver Super Bowl? He's like calling doing the Peyton Manning stuff in the line, and the center snaps it 10 feet over his head in the end zone. That was hilarious, that play. But it didn't remind me of that because Hurts is like, getting the guys ready, and all of a sudden the ball hits him in the chest, and so that's got to be cleaned up.
Yeah. Well, at least he's not a rookie, Cam Jurgens, but he hasn't played center yet. So okay, you can chalk that up to a new guy mistake.
I do. I'm not going to kill him for it.
I don't think he'll do that again. He was pretty solid in every other bit of his game playing there.
Yeah.
So every game we can say a key to the game is going to be Saquon Barkley. It's a problem for every other defense that's out there. And he proved that against the Packers. He's going to prove it again against the Falcons. Kellen Moore knows how to use him. That line is just going to keep learning how to build momentum up by Barkley. He's going to be such a when Hurts does stall. Did you watch the end of the overtime game last week?
Which one?
Was it the Chiefs? The
Chiefs go to overtime?
Detroit Lions overtime on Monday night.
Okay.
Detroit Lions going to overtime. They knew the team was gassed that they were playing against, and they just came out and mashed the ball down that team's throat to go for the touchdown between Gibbs and Montgomery running the ball. So I'm like the Eagles, if they, and this has been kind of like their identity even before Barkley, if they just are wobbling on that offense or just can't figure it out, just
run the ball.
Just run that ball and just bury that defense and get them suckered, get them tired out, and just pound them.
I'm glad you made that point because there's only a few teams in the league that have the offensive line like the Eagles do. One of them is Detroit. So I'm glad you brought that game up because Detroit's got a great, powerful, huge offensive line that could just take umbrage with the defensive line and just push them back and grind it to the, grind them back and tire them out. Yep. Great analogy. I'm glad you brought up the Detroit Lions because they have a line like the Eagles that can mash you.
Mash it. And if you're tired, press the pedal to the metal. That was brilliant play calling by the Lions. I'm hoping Kellen Moore has that. Even though they had great coaches the last couple of decades, is can we get out of this pass happy stuff when we know we can just run it? Run it, smash the team into the ground, and then if you want to play with the pass game, go ahead. But we've got the talent to take over any game we want to at any time just by running that ball. So I think that's going to be a problem every week for teams that are playing the Eagles if they decide they want to run it.
Yeah. And maybe even with the RPOs, which we didn't see much, or the Packers just played it well. And again, it might have to do with the field conditions, but we didn't see Jalen and Barkley do much of the RPOs, which is kind of good. I think the RPOs should be done sporadically. I don't like when the Eagles do RPO based offense when they do it at least once every series. I like it more when it's more of a surprise. And it should work more and more as Barkley continues to have more and more success and become a focus where that's going to open up these holes for Jalen to open up to do his thing. So eventually, I think that's going to become more of a productive option. But they didn't run it much. The opening game. And again, like I said, I'm kind of glad about that because they have so many weapons. It's you don't really have to run RPOs. Run them when they make sense or you think you're going to catch the defense off guard.
Right.
Barkley's 20 carries into the game. He's got 135 yards, and it's a close game still. Then run the RPO, man, because they're going to fool the hell out of defense when they do it at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think that's it. I think the Eagles' offense, they're the only ones that can stop themselves. Otherwise, they should be able to score 30 points a week, right? So keep the game is offensive mistakes. Keep them to a minimum. Just let the game play itself out. We should have enough talent to win on both sides.
Yeah, I think so. You're starting to show some signs of cutting out. I don't know if you're getting outside of the area yet, but I figured, whenever you think you're going to lose a signal, we could just do a quick parting word about the game, and then we'll let you go. Because I'd rather have that than trying to hear you for the last 5 minutes. You know what I mean? But if you're still in a good range, then we'll keep you on. You hearing everything okay?
Yeah.
All right.
I missed some of that, but I think I'm just driving back into a cell phone range now. So
okay,
should be good for the rest of it.
We were having a little disruption there. All right, so what I was saying was that when you feel you're about to lose a signal, because I know you have you have an idea when that is, just say your parting words, and we'll let you part the show. I'm gonna probably I'm gonna wrap it up pretty soon anyway. All right, so. What are your thoughts about the NFC East, real quick? The Giants, the Commanders, and the Cowboys.
I think this is the wrong year for the Giants to have had the offseason hard knocks, because they just keep replaying on social media all of the GM's conversations about Saquon Barkley, and you got
and how the owner was like, I don't want to have him end up on the Eagles if we let him go.
Yeah. Mara is just full of disappointment, and like Daniel Jones comes out, throws a pick six for like his first real touchdown. It's like, I'm like, everything that GM had said, like, well, we're not paying this much money for a running back because we're committing to Daniel Jones, we're going to rebuild the offensive line. I'm like, yeah, you're committed to Daniel Jones. That's exactly it. Good luck with that. So,
you know what stat I heard? And this is true because I've heard a couple of different sources say it. He has thrown more pick sixes than touchdown passes since he signed that big contract.
Wow.
That is a true stat.
Yeah, and I feel sorry for that team. The Giants, I think, are going to finish in the bottom. I think they're going to lose to the Commanders this weekend.
I think so too.
The Commanders, I think, might be able to reach. Everyone's saying 7 locally. I'm going to go one below that and go to 6. I'll say they'll win 6 games, but they're not a worry. I think Dallas is firing on all cylinders already. They look pretty tough in their opener, and Dak is happy, CeeDee's happy. If they can find some sort of consistency with the run game with Zeke, then that team becomes a dangerous team as well. Okay. They got Trayvon Diggs back at cornerback, so their defense is going to be there.
The linebackers fly around. Obviously, they make up Parsons there, and that other guy, Overshown, looks really good. That guy's good too.
Those teams, that's the competition. And when they play the Eagles, it'll be whoever makes the most mistakes are going to lose. Period.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll be a consistent.
I think they'll split. We did our predictions, and we had them splitting with the Cowboys. I think they're going to split with the Cowboys.
Yeah, but Dallas is tough. They look good, and I was hoping that Dak would hold out a little longer, or they'd run out of money, and that would be a problem.
Hoping Cleveland would give them a bigger battle than they did, but I think Cleveland's a decent team, but. I don't know Nick Chubb yet, but they didn't look good at all. Like Cleveland did not look good. Like they
no. My friend who's a Cleveland fan would say that it's pretty much Stefanski's fault, which is one of the reasons why I said he'd be one of the first coaches fired last year.
Hey, he might be right this year.
But so he might be the one this year. But Deshaun Watson, it's like what happened? Like, how can you all of a sudden not play?
Yeah, he didn't look good, and I thought he would. I thought this would be the year that he would kind of have a resurgence again, and after at least one game. Now Dallas again is a good team; they have a good defense, so I'm not ready to throw a bunch of dirt on Watson yet. But he didn't look good. That's for sure.
He didn't look good, and like we've said, it's preseason until October, so nobody should be like, oh, they're done. But the only team I will say that for though is the Giants. I don't see any hope. I don't see any hope for that Giants team because they're just constantly just gonna be watching Daniel Jones and watching Saquon Barkley. And
the fans are already killing Jones. Like they stayed after the game when he was just leaving to go home and booed that out of him.
That doesn't bode well. No, that doesn't bode well for Daniel Jones' psyche. No,
that's not going to help anything. Not that the Eagle fans would never do something like that, but it's not a good situation. Is my point. It's just that team in week 1 already is being booed horrendously by their fans, and they should be. But I'm just saying. Yeah, they might not get 5 wins this year, the Giants. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it'd be interesting to see. He does have success against the Commanders, so and the Eagles actually. But
where's that game?
What was that?
Where is that game? Is that in Washington or is that in New York?
I don't know. I didn't check on that one. I'm guessing it might be in DC. I think it might be hosted by the Commanders, but the local radio down here that's been their thing. Like Jones has had success against that Commanders team.
Yeah.
See what happens, on Sunday. I definitely will be watching that game from start to finish. Because the Commanders already had their first miserable Monday of the year. It's so much fun to listen to the local radio on Misery Monday.
Because they lost too. Who'd they play? And they lost.
Yeah, I
forgot who they lost to, but yeah, I don't think it was that good of a team that they lost to.
No, they had flashes of hope, but they're still trying to figure out a lot of things on offense and defense. So
yeah, well, they got a young quarterback, and he's going to go through some growing pains for sure.
Yep, he is a player though, and here's the thing: the Giants, I guess, were trying to trade up for Jaden Daniels, but they knew Washington was going to take him high, so they couldn't get him. But I don't think there's anybody that is a Giants fan right now that would say they would rather have Jones than Jaden Daniels or maybe some of these other quarterbacks that went. So we'll see. The only one they're probably not comparing to is Bo Nix. Bo Nix had a rough start last week with the Broncos.
Yeah, but he was a much later draft pick, Nix, wasn't he?
Much later, but I think with the way things were falling down, they would have had to get up a lot of draft
to get him. Yeah,
value to now one of those other guys where Bo Nix was really Bo Nix and Michael Penix, the Falcons quarterback. Those were the two that if the Giants had any interest in, they wouldn't have even had. Yeah, why not trade back into the first round to grab one of those guys? I don't think
they had the draft capital to do it. They did. They could have done it.
They put. So Neighbors, nobody criticized Malik Neighbors. That guy's a player.
Yeah, he's good.
But if you had a chance to come back in, but they had just signed all that money to Jones and then he got hurt last year, so they're not willing to move on from their contractual mistakes. And that's where
that's when Howie's done it.
And Carson Wentz, I'm like,
and it takes the owner also. It takes the owner and the GM because Howie obviously, it takes Lurie to say, yeah, okay, let's dump Wentz, even though they owed him $36 million a year. That's a lot to eat, but they were smart enough to realize that was the move to make,
They found a way, and the Giants don't have that. So it's like, God, I would just be so disappointed as a Giants fan because I'm like, really, this is it? Like, we're going to have to wait Jones's contract out? Like, we have to now rebuild next year after?
Yeah. And I don't know what the talent
knew this guy can't play. Like, that would be frustrating as a fan. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, what makes it more frustrating is they also see their number one best player running for the Eagles for 3 touchdowns in their first game. That's just putting the proverbial salt in the wound.
Yeah, and it looked effortless, didn't it? It looked effortless. Like
that catch, by the way, what a throw by Hurts. I mean, we were slamming Hurts for some of the bad passes he made, but that was a perfectly threaded
pass. It was money.
The corner of the end zone to Barkley.
Yep. And so that's what, for all the Hurts haters that might still be out there, I'm like, dude, the guy can play. He's proven it. He's both the pass to Brown and to Barkley is right where that ball needs to be.
Right on the money.
Yep. Yeah, so he can read it. He can throw it with timing. He can make the right read. It's just, God, will you just let the plays that aren't going to work for you go? You got to stay away from, because Wentz was doing that too. And that's what made Wentz so bad at the end. Like, you got to just chuck that shit away and move on to the next play and be happy with it.
Especially when you're in the red zone.
100% in the red zone, right? Yeah. Don't toss away points to the other team. Got to make those smarter decisions. So,
yeah. All right. So, I guess we could wrap it up. We're almost an hour in. So, 40 minutes in. But I know you're going to run out of your zone here pretty soon.
Yep.
So, final thoughts on the game and give me a prediction.
I think Goddard's going to catch 5 or 6 passes. He was a little bit quiet last week. I think Goddard kind of he kind of shows this week. I think Barkley has probably 2 touchdowns, maybe 1 through the air, 1 on the ground. Probably gets around 100 yards from scrimmage again, if not over. AJ and Smith, probably going to catch 5 to 9 passes each. And I think the Eagles minus, if Hurts doesn't make that stupid error, I'll give him 1. Let's say Hurts makes 1 bad error. I think the Eagles still win by at least 8 points. So,
okay.
And I think they're always going to score close to 30. So, and they scored more than 28. I think my prediction last week was 28. They had more than that against the Packers. So I'll say 33 points for the good birds, the Eagles. And I'll say, I just don't have much faith in the Falcons.
Did you say 33?
I'll say 33 Eagles, and I'll say 17. 33.
We're pretty close. We're pretty close. I got the Eagles winning 31-20.
Yeah, that's close. That's really
We're
close.
both right in the same area there. I think, much like you, I think Barkley will have success running the ball again. There won't be many games on many teams I think that could really stuff Barkley. I think Barkley's going to pretty much get 100 yards every game. I mean, as long as he gets 20 carries or so, 20, 25 carries, he's going to hit that century mark in most games.
Yeah.
And I don't think Atlanta's defense is all that scary. I mean, it's decent. It's not top of the league. So the Eagles are at home. I think they're easily going to put 30 points up in this game.
Yeah. I think the Falcons D is going to have a hard time keeping up with that offense, and I think there's a chance they get really tired by the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Give me a sleeper pick that somebody might. I mean, maybe you gave me Goddard as far as a sleeper guy. I'm going to go with defense. I'll say, let me think. I'll say Huff actually does have an impact in this game. I'll go with Huff.
That'd be cool. Hey, last year Hassan Reddick was quiet for the first 3 weeks, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. And then he went on a 5-game binge. He got 7 sacks.
Then he went nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Huff is probably, I mean, put it this way, we're going to find out all about Huff. We don't know much about him. He's been a Jet. But hopefully all this negative talk he's hearing about, where the heck was he in game 1? Hasn't really done much as an Eagle yet, even in the preseason. Not that he played a lot, but even in, when they were doing the scrimmages and stuff, hardly heard his name. Because it's going to get to the point pretty quick, especially with Eagle fans, where if Huff's not producing 5-6 games in, man, he's going to really hear it. And I don't think the defense coordinator, what's his name?
Vic Fangio.
Fangio is going to have any this guy. I like the way he runs, how he coaches. He's a no nonsense. He doesn't care if you're making $15 million a year. If you're not producing, he's going to get your ass. He'll pull you out of the game.
100%.
I like that mentality.
Yep, I love him. He is dead serious in every press conference, and he'll figure out a way. He'll figure out.
I think he'll figure out a way to get Huff going. And this is what I mean. But we're going to find about Huff. What is inside this guy? We know he's got ability, but what's inside his head? Is he a guy that was all right, I need to, it's time for me to get going here. Not that he was slacking or anything. I'm just saying, see how he reacts to adversity. And I think we'll hear from Huff. I don't know. I'm not going to say he's going to do anything dramatic, sack and cause a fumble or whatever. But I think we're going to hear his name a few times on Monday night.
Yep.
Maybe that's just the optimistic in me, but I think Huff will do something. I don't know what it is. He's going to do something. We're going to hear his name.
All right.
We're going to hear his name.
I think that'd be great. I'd love to see it.
That's my prediction. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. Matt, thanks for joining. It's always good to have somebody to throw ideas off of. Matt's going to, for those of you that are new to the program, which I know we're welcoming a brand new audience here on YouTube, Matt is been a long-time contributor to the podcast that I had going on for 2 years. So I'm going to try to get him on at least once a week and every single week of the season to preview the game. If we can get him on for a post game, we'll do that, but it's all contingent on his schedule and us getting together to do that. But otherwise, we're always going to have a pregame and a post game every single week to talk about the Eagles, and might even have some special guests on during the week as well. So thanks again for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe, comment below. Let me know your thoughts. We want to hear from you. What do you guys think about this upcoming game? Until next time, fly Eagles fly. Let's get a big win on Wednesday night. Congratulations again to Nick Foles And that's it. Matt, final thoughts, and then we'll get out of here.
Final thoughts, 2 words. Go Birds!
Go Birds, baby. Thanks again for joining the program, and we'll catch you next time after the Eagles win on Monday night. Take care, everyone.